Property. What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's going on, Coach Dan at Lions Talk Live and the Duke Crew. This is Ball Hawk Ifeatu Melifonwu of the Detroit Lions. Everybody make sure you help support the YouTube channel Lions Talk Live by clicking that like and subscribe button. Let's get it and go Detroit.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live and Coach Dan by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
I love nothing more than watching Lions Talk Live every morning. Woo!
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Lions Talk Live Wednesday morning show edition. And let me tell you, we must be getting closer to the season that's starting to happen because we're getting a whole lot of more rumors, speculation. People talking about this guy might get traded, that might get traded. And I will say this, I do think there is probably some truth to the rumors that the Lions have already started receiving phone calls about players, other teams testing the waters on this guy, that guy, and everybody in between. Could any of this be true? Sure. Could it, sure, it could be true. Could it be false? Absolutely. But I do think you're going to see in the next, say, month or two, tons of different rumors popping up from everybody across Timbuktu about the Lions potentially being called about different players. We get it. The Lions are the deepest team, maybe in the entire NFL. We can at least probably all respectfully agree they're one of the deepest teams out there. Most teams don't have anywhere near our depth, which means there's going to be a whole lot of great talent. They're going to be parted ways from this team that won't make the 53-man roster. Because of that, I do suspect you're going to have a lot of general managers reaching out to the Detroit Lions either before training camp, during training camp, before the regular season hits. And some of you guys brought it up in yesterday's comment section with the Duke Crew that there were some rumors starting to percolate about Jameson Williams. I don't really personally believe Jameson Williams is going to be traded in any way, shape, or form from the Detroit Lions. Doesn't mean teams won't call about him, though, right? But I do think we do have to pay attention to a couple of the rumors that hit overnight, at least two of them, that some teams have probably reached out to us about these particular players. We'll get into that during the 5 headlines now, and then obviously the main topic of the day. All right, before we get to both of those, though, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that march for 14,000 subs. We're about 127 subs away from that, so if you can assist with that, man, I would be thankful for your time and helping out. Also, if you have a half second of time, it won't cost you a dime. Reach on down, hit that thumbs up button, that like button, hit all the buttons. We try to get every episode of the show between 200, 300, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last but most certainly never least, if you are considering buying or selling property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, let alone the continental United States, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. You now see the number on the screen, 269-998-2384. I can use over 30 years in the industry of real estate to save you time, save you hassle, save you money, save you headaches. How about that? Went down and met one of you guys yesterday in Three Rivers, Michigan. Part of what my job is, I try to walk people through houses, point out, a negative slope, positive slope, the type of infrastructure on a house or property, just things that most people I've found over the 30 years don't understand, know about. So when you see something, the first house we looked at yesterday with Sam was not very good. I think that would be a safe way to put it. Second one, though, for being built in the 1890s, I thought, man, the foundation on this thing alone was right as rain. So, all right, you get the idea. Give me a call or shoot me a text if you have any questions, and we'll go from there. All right, all that done, set out of the way. Let's get this show rocking and rolling and going and kicking off with 5 headlines now. Ooh, and we've got some pretty good headlines today, I think, to start off. Hey, I'm sure most of you, a lot of you guys did reach out yesterday and brought it to my attention about Netflix and, the new quarterback show from Omaha Productions. If you didn't watch it, I would encourage you to go see it. You can see pretty clearly how much MCDC loves himself, some Jared Goff, how much Brad Holmes loves him, and just how moved, still to this day, several years after the trade, Jared Goff is by that event. All right, with that said, 5 biggest takeaways from Lions Jared Goff as Netflix's quarterback. Goff is just like Matthew Stafford in this regard. A to Z Sports, story by Mike Payton. To be fair, probably could have done the entire show on Jared Goff and the Netflix, situation, episodes, whatever. The wife and I, we watched about 2 of them. I basically sped through anybody who wasn't Jared Goff, made the episodes maybe only like 10 minutes long. Nothing against Joe Burrow or Kirk Cousins, but I'm not interested in them. So anyways, getting to this particular story. All right, let's go see what they have as far as Mike Payton with the 5 different topics for it. Supplebum, Goff, we get it. He was real worked up about a couple things when it came talking about McVay, how he was treated, mistreated there, how basically he was, in a nutshell, he felt like, he had been dumped by his girlfriend, metaphorically speaking, and how much he was reinvigorated by the energy of MCDC and Brad Holmes. As soon as he was told or got off the phone with Sean McVay, within 30 seconds, his phone started ringing, apparently, with Dan Campbell trying to contact him, make him feel wanted, make him feel good. I get there is a certain percentage of the Lions fandom who does not like Jared Goff as our quarterback. There's obviously a percentage of us that do like him. I'm not here to tell you what to like. The only thing I can tell you is it is clear as day watching this show just how much MCDC and Brad Holmes wanted this guy here, and we all get it now. He's had some good seasons. He's gotten a new contract. Goff, definitely felt like he was disrespected, I think is the polite way to put it, by the Rams, and how much he was respected by the Detroit Lions. Goff responded to the pressure in Houston. We all get that game that did not go great for Goff, but then, one thing I can say as a coach, when somebody struggles that much in the game and still finds a way to come back, kind of overcome the adversity, lead the team to victory, that says a lot about the personal mental toughness of that person and the team. I think we all get it. Not many quarterbacks throw, 50 picks in a first drive of the game and still find a way to win. Goff is like Matt Stafford in the sense that he might take a shark biting his leg off to get him out of the game. And I would agree with that. Now that Stafford isn't here, I think there are a lot of the Lions fans who want to kind of throw shade at him. And that's up to you if you want to do it. It's not me, myself, and I. I like Matthew Stafford who was here. I do think there were some flaws in his games. I thought there were some real strengths in his games. Since he's left Detroit, I think he has taken his quarterback play to a little bit of another level. With that also being said, the one thing we can probably say about both guys is they'll play with broken backs. They'll do whatever they can to be on the field. I will always remember Stafford's first real game with the Detroit Lions against the Cleveland Browns. If you guys don't remember it, let me walk you through it. It was like literally the last drive of the game to try to go win it. His shoulder got knocked out of place. He went out for like 2 plays, came back in, threw the game-winning touchdown pass. I want to say it was to Brandon Pettigrew in the back of the end zone. And then on that throw, the shoulder popped back out of place. So the fact that he did that and continued to play hurt in Detroit, I think that speaks volumes to him. One thing they kind of don't exactly go into during the show, but they do kind of hint at it a lot, is just how often Goff played injured last year. A lot of people say, hey, Goff's incredibly durable, doesn't get hurt a lot. It could be that, or it could be kind of like they illuminated on the show. He just plays through a lot of pain, a lot of injuries. There's one point where you can see just how busted his lower leg got on a particular play and dislodged. You know what? He's out there playing on one leg, and most of us probably didn't even realize it when it happened. I'm just going to summarize this one and just say this. If you guys get an opportunity to watch the show on Netflix, because I could go on for probably about an hour about this, I think it's real clear how much the Goffs, him and his wife and their dog, really love Detroit and want to continue playing here for a real long time. All right, went on too long about that one, but on to the next one. Cheeky Jared Goff fires subtle shots at Tom Brady. Stay in the booth. First Sports, I've never heard of this place before, and by Mohammed Brazem. So here's what I'll say. Tom Brady, if you guys remember him covering the game for the Lions at the Dallas Cowboys last year, kept commenting about all the weapons Goff has to work with and just how great this offense is. Said, hey, I'd love to come out of retirement and play for it. Goff was shown this while filming the particular episode for the quarterback and just said, hey, this is my team. We're going to keep going with it. You had your opportunity. For those who don't know, Tom Brady did have an opportunity to come to the Detroit Lions and take over the franchise, as the quarterback, try to lead us. And Kevin Hart even called him out on it when the opportunity first came to Tom Brady. Brady respectfully declined, chose to go to Tampa Bay, and I think we all get it from there. He's had a pretty good run. Now, Jared Goff, on the other hand, said, this is my team. I wanted to be a part of here. I didn't ask to get traded once I got traded to the Lions. Thought it was a great situation to be a part of and real quickly embrace the culture that is now the Detroit Lions. All right, moving on from that one. AI predicts Detroit Lions record will be ... The New York Post by Dr. Jerome Davis. So AI, we all get it. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. John Connor from the Terminator movies warned us 30 years ago, don't trust it. But hey, it is what it is. AI is now being used in sports, and we get it not just for YouTube videos, whatever, but to run predictions on players' seasons, their careers, and yes, sports franchise, how they'll do this year. If I had to ask you, Duke Crew, right now, what do you think the record will be? What do you think AI predicted our record to be? Throw it in the comment section. I'll give you to the count of 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you said 13-4, then you were right. AI predicted the Detroit Lions will have a record this year of 13-4, and AI is being used. Like I said, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but gave some other thoughts about, the type of stats they're projecting different offensive players will have. Jared Goff will have defensive numbers by, Aiden Hudson or whoever else. Could any of this actually hold water? I don't know. I don't know enough about AI sports predicting abilities. I know about it in the stock markets, but I don't know it in sports. This could be something we're all going to have to face in the future, and I won't be surprised if Vegas pays attention to this, because if AI starts being correct, let's just say 70% of the time, then you know what? You're going to see a lot of bettors use it more and more, or people who bet. I don't know how you want to word that one, but you get the idea. All right, this show, as you know from the main topic of the day thumbnail, when you clicked on in, was about some trade rumors. This next headline has a segue into that. And could I see there being some level of possibility for this one? I think so. I think this could be a possible thing. Texans, Lions trade proposal sends $20 million, 62-sack edge rusher to Detroit, Sporting News. I'm not saying it is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying I could see this one happening because it would make sense for both teams. For those who don't know, Houston Texans, they've got a pretty good offense. They got a pretty good defense. They also have they need some more draft picks. They also need some younger players. Because of that, the Sporting News and Dyer Sharma has written this particular piece that she is aware that Danico Audrey is on the trade block for the Houston Texans. They're trying to acquire some wide receiver help. Whether or not this thing ever goes down, I don't know. But she is speculating that Audrey does not like the situation there, thinks his role is becoming more and more relegated with the Houston Texans, wants out. He has apparently given the team a list of places he would like to be potentially traded to or, sent over to, however you want to word it, before the regular season gets here. Audrey is coming off a down year, which is probably why he's been kind of relegated a little bit in 2024. He played just 10 games due to suspension and posted 3 sacks in 11 quarterback pressures with 6 defensive stops. The veteran pass rusher signed a 2-year deal worth $20 million in Houston last year. Now, I don't know the full ramifications of his suspensions, stuff like that. I didn't have time to dive into it before this morning's show got going. But I do know this about him. He's a pretty productive player on the defensive line. He is also multifaceted and he can play inside and outside. So from a Detroit Lions standpoint, he would make a lot of sense. Now, the report from Sharma does not fully dictate what the Lions would want to or be asked to give up to acquire him. It does sound like, and I was kind of surprised by this, that the Texans want some wide receiver help. That's all she really says about it. Could there be more to it? Could there be draft picks? Sure. But how much are you really going to give up for a guy with an 11-game suspension last year, a guy who's been relegated in the Texas defensive line rotation? And yes, I do appreciate that their defensive line is pretty dang deep. So even if you're a backup there, you might be a pretty quality guy. Would you be okay with the Lions going for him? At $20 million a year, that sounds like a starter to me. So I don't know if I'm going to invest that much money into a guy who's going to play backup snaps and roles. That's my personal opinion, and I don't really also want to see any of our wide receivers get traded, whether it's to Houston or anybody else. I like our wide receiver room, but what say you do, crew? Do you think there's something to this or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section if you would be so kind. All right, Detroit Lions news could make Ben Johnson cry. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. The heavy story by Ann Erickson. Ben Johnson, you guys all know it. He's no longer here. He's over in Chicago, trying to revitalize the Chicago Bears, what they once were. Apparently, there's been some news that came out that the Lions get boost in off-season offensive ratings, I should say. ESPN is diving into this, and NFL expert Bill Barwell lays out the best offenses in the league. And, surprisingly, he does not have Ben Johnson, the Chicago Bears, doing much this year. He thinks the Lions are still going to win the division. He's predicting the Bears are going to be the bottom of the division. Although, to be fair to him, they've got them kind of splitting hairs, a tie with the Minnesota Vikings. So, with all that being said, Ben Johnson is apparently not happy, as most of you know, with things that are progressing so far with the Chicago Bears. He thinks some of the offensive players aren't really buying into the system he's trying to put in. Caleb Williams apparently is fighting him a little bit. Ben Johnson, some people are starting to speculate that get a month into the regular season, and if the offensive players continue to doubt what he's trying to do with them, it could be a real tank job the first year for the first-year head coach in the Chicago Bears. I don't think many Lions fans would be upset if the Chicago Bears fell on their face. Ben Johnson, could it be at the end of the first season in Chicago, he's regretting his decision to go there? It might be. I get that he wants a big paycheck. I get that he wants to take care of his family, but it does sound like more and more Ben Johnson is not finding the same level of success offensively with the Bears that he'd had with the Lions. It's way too early to make any kind of firm predictions on what's going to happen with the Chicago Bears. Will Caleb Williams buy in? We all get it. But here's what we do know. Right now, there's a lot of kickback, a lot of people questioning Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson, it does sound like from multiple reports, is starting to become very internalized, that he's no longer kind of as bubbly, happy, joy, however you want to put it, with some of his, sub-coaches or subordinate coaches, assistant coaches, and even some people in the front office. This could be the first crack in a very early career in the Chicago Bears for Ben Johnson. We'll probably want to pay attention to it. If he comes out, loses week 1, and then week 2 to the Detroit Lions, man, the floodgates could really be open on this guy. All right, next to the 5 and last of the 5 headlines now. Lions dominate the latest top 25, under 25 list, story by Jeff Risden, Lions Wire. You probably, if you wanted to just have a flashy thumbnail today and you were running a YouTube channel, this would probably be it. And why? You're about to find out. Detroit Lions, I don't think I'm surprising anybody when I tell them we got a whole lot of good young talent on this team. And it's my anticipation this time next year, you're going to see some new names on it, because I really do believe in some of last year's rookie class and then this year's rookie class. That's another show for another time. But anyways, let's go through this list and see what you guys have to say about one of the surprise players not on this list. All right, Detroit's quintet of right tackle Penei Sewell is number 2 on this particular outlet's top 25, under 25. Probably not a big surprise there. I could say I'm surprised he's not number 1. They had Baltimore safety Kyle Hamilton as the number 1 player under 25 years old in the NFL. And yes, he could have been a Detroit Lion. A defensive back, Brian Branch, is 7th, sandwiched between 2 Rams on the list, wide receiver Puka Nacua and defensive end Jared Verse. Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs and tight end Sam I.M. Laporta are back-to-back picks at number 14 and 15, respectively. But not least on the list is safety Kirby Joseph, who closes out the list at number 25. So the Lions obviously have a lot of good young talent there, but like I said, if you want to run a snappy thumbnail for today, where's Aiden Hutchinson on this list? So this particular group does not consider Hutchinson a part of it. And this, I want to give credit where credit's due. This is from the 33rd team who compiled their rankings of the top 25 players under 25 years old. Detroit had 5 players, as I just noted, but they did not put Hutchinson on there. They said because of his injury last year. And just so we're all on the same page, Hutch turns 25 in August. So he should be on the list if they're writing it here today. He's 24 currently. They are saying because of his injury-shortened season, he's not. They're not going to consider him one of the top 25 players. What do you guys say about that? In my opinion, just my opinion, don't have to be your opinion. There's no way he's not a top 25 player. Aiden Hutchinson absolutely is a top 25 player in the league. I'd even put him in the top 15, injured or not last year. So is what it is, I guess. All right, I've rambled on with these headlines way too long. Let's get you all over to main topic of the day. Is it just me, or is the five headlines now getting longer and longer? I don't know. Maybe I'll just talk more about them. All right. So main topic of the day, as you guys know, we've already kind of talked about a little bit with the defensive end from the Houston Texans potentially being rumored to come to the Detroit Lions. I'm just, again, on that one, I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'm not paying a backup guy $20 million to sit there on the bench, and not that he couldn't get 50% of the snaps a game, but I just think that's a heck of an asking price for somebody who's not out there all the time. All right. Some of you guys brought this up yesterday. I didn't really want to dive into it, but there have been more reports in the last 24 hours that do have the Lions being potentially contacted by multiple different teams about Jameson Williams and Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick, I guess I could understand this one if I'm the Detroit Lions, and I really believe Jackson Meeks, Isaac Tesla, or somebody else, Khalif Raymond, or whoever you want to throw on that list, are basically supplanting him. He's a veteran player. He's on a one-year deal. Do I think you get a whole lot for Tim Patrick? No. So if you're not going to get a whole lot for him, why would you trade him? Why would you kill some of the depth of this team? The guy can block. He can get downfield. He can get in the air. I mean, they used him at times as a tight end last year. So if you had any kind of qualms or trepidation about your number 3 tight end role, well, Tim Patrick can play tight end and wide receiver. I do think you're going to see Dan Skipper and Giovanni Manu to also take the number 3 tight end spot. That's a different story. What I do think about all these different reports we're getting, sort of like I said during the opening segment of the show, I do think you're going to get a whole lot of these reports over the next month or two, because the Detroit Lions have so much depth. You could part ways with some of it and acquire some draft picks. Maybe in training camp or when we get to the preseason games, we see some guys or maybe that aren't performing as well as we anticipate at different spots. Maybe we can package some things and get some better depth here and there. Jameson Williams, multiple different reports have the Lions at least listening to overtures. Sorry, I'm trying to read this as I talk to you guys about the star wide receiver, because the Lions do not want to give him a big contract on top of St. Brown. Here's what I'll say to that. I say BS to that. I don't think there's any validity to that. I don't think the Lions are worried about the salary cap when it comes to considering having Jameson Williams and St. Brown. That's my opinion. I have not talked to Brad Holmes. I don't think Brad Holmes even knows who I am. And I don't anticipate he'll return any phone calls if I somehow got his number. At any rate, though, Jameson Williams, I'm going to guess just about everybody in the Duke crew understands he's ready to have a big season. At least that's the anticipation. And what's the chance that you can replicate him in the draft in the next 1 or 2 seasons? Some people, when we drafted Isaac Tesla, that's where they first went with it. Well, this must be the end of Jameson Williams, because you're drafting that guy, giving up all that draft capital because you want to move on and not pay him. I don't see it that way myself. You guys could be right who have that opinion. Jameson Williams, though, while he's had a couple bumps in the road as the Detroit Lions, I think he's ready to break out. I think he's ready to be a leader of the team. I think he's maturing before our eyes, and not just an athlete, as an individual. I think J-Mo's going to stay. Tim Patrick, though, when the reports came out on him potentially being a player of interest, I could see that. I could see him or Khalif Raymond or somebody else who's lower on the list maybe get traded for a 7th-round pick or a swap of players. Maybe you want to pick up, I don't know, maybe another center for the team that you think will add some more depth there. That could be a real possibility. I just couldn't see us adding any real defensive line help unless it's going to be somebody that is clearly going to start. If it's going to be a starting defensive end who can get after the quarterback or whatever else, so maybe Marcus Davenport doesn't start, that's where I think you have to look at bigger names on the team, because nobody's going to give you a guy like that for nothing. And I don't think we're trading a 1st or 2nd round pick for somebody. The other part is I don't think anybody wants a 1st or 2nd round pick for next year right now, unless they know they're going to be near the bottom of the NFL. What do you say, Duke Crew? How much of this is, I guess, just people filling up newspapers right now? How much of it do you think other teams are just at least testing the waters, creating conversations with Brad Holmes? So as we get closer to the 53-man cut down or into the preseason games, maybe they're already set to try to work out a deal with us. I do think Brad Holmes is going to get a lot of calls. I do think we're going to probably ultimately trade some people. I just don't think it's going to be Jameson Williams or Tim Patrick. I think it'll be more depth people that we're about ready to release in order to get the 91 player roster down to 53. All right, I've babbled about all these different topics too much. Let's get to you guys to see what you have to say this morning. By the way, Anthony, for those who asked about Anthony from Roar Lions UK, sounds like he might have to go to more Thursdays because of a work schedule change. He messaged me apparently during the show yesterday on Twitter, but I don't check the phone or whatever until after the show. So we'll, at least for now, I'd probably anticipate Anthony from Roar Lions UK moving to Thursdays. All right, Michael, greetings, salutations, coaching, do crew, exclamation points, one pride, woo, back at you. Stephanie, good morning, boys, exclamation point. Personally speaking only, I just don't see any of our players traded away. I'm with you on that. I like them all, but I do think Brad will look to move for some picks. Yeah, and again, keep repeating it. I think when we get into training camp, when you get into the preseason games, that's where I think some guys could get moved. He's clearly not going to be an option to have a roster spot here. Teams know it. They need somebody at that position. I could see, I guess if you were to ask me honestly, who are the positions or what are the positions, I could see us, parting ways with some guys. Running back with one, offensive lineman, and then maybe some defensive tackles. I'm trying to think of anything else. I don't know, maybe a cornerback. But I like our depth there. I just don't think we're looking to part ways with any of the big name talent there. All right, Jess Lynn, greetings, salutations, Duke crew. Goff got worked up yesterday on the new show. He did, man, on the Netflix quarterback show. Yeah, if you guys haven't watched it, again, watch it. What I did is I just kind of zipped through the other quarterbacks, just listen to Goff. But you could see it in his eyes. You could hear it in his voice cracking. Still to this day, 4 years after the trade, that's still very impactful for him, and I think a motivating factor. So good for him. All right, Michael D., I agree with you, Stephanie. I don't see Brad Holmes making any trades. Yeah, me either, unless it's like lower end stuff, like I've already said, where people are going to be cut. France, after the show yesterday, I did read a few articles saying the Lions could trade Jameson. I just can't imagine that happening. Me either, but, we often say on this show, or I often say on this show, if somebody's going to make you an offer you absolutely can't refuse, well, then that changes everything. I just personally don't see the Lions trading him unless it's, like 2 first-round picks or a first-round pick and 30 second-round picks, something like that. Something just really over the top. Jameson, right, Michael? Maybe a few would-be cut options get traded. I don't know. Just question any major trades. Yeah, I think the time for major trades have gone past us unless we get closer to the trade deadline and we have a glaring need. But Brad Holmes, his history, I think, is relevant to the present in that he just doesn't make those kind of trades. He admits he has tons of conversations on the phone. So for every knucklehead says, Brad Holmes is never going to make a trade, he admits all the time. He's talked to the Raiders about Max Crosby. He's talked to, Santa Claus about trading for Rudolph, whatever you want to throw out there. He makes those conversations. He just doesn't pull the trigger. Michael, in your opinion, if Brad Holmes was going to make a trade for would-be dumping out, yeah, I think so too. Again, the only ones I really am anticipating is the day or a couple hours before the final 53-man roster. I could see us, picking up some 7th-round picks, for this guy or conditional picks, stuff like that. Trey, what's good, everybody? Question mark. Lots of rumors will always come around. Is there really any spot on the team we need to upgrade? I don't think so. I mean, I get some of you guys will say, pass rushing defensive end opposite Aiden Hutchinson. I get that one. I just think at this point, they're riding or dying with Zadarius Smith, Alaquin Muhammad, Ahmed Hassanin, Marcus Davenport, and everybody else. So that's my opinion, at least. All right, Brent, good morning. Dan, the Duke crew. I don't see any trade wins incoming, but one never knows what Brad will do. He's always cooking. Oh, yeah, I agree with you. I think he's always listening to the calls. I think he's always making calls. I just don't think he's going to pull the trigger on something unless it's a total win for the Lions. Drake, maybe someone makes us just too good of an offer is the only way I see Tim, JMO, or any of our guys getting moved. Yeah, me too, man. Cynthia, good morning, all. Exclamation point. The trade seems unlikely to me. Why would they trade? Yeah, and that's what I don't get. I get right now, we've got about 3 weeks until the season really begins with training camp. I get there's tons of reporters who are going to put out stories. And I do want to corroborate that this is not my homework. This is from like 3 or 4 different other news sources or personalities. So I'm basing it all on them. I have no idea what they know. I have no idea what they don't know. But I'm going to put it out there. I know some of you guys brought it up yesterday, so I dove into it. And hey, there you go. Now you know what I know. Just let teams call. If they want to push the price up on our guys, then we win if a team overpays. I agree with that. Somebody's going to make you a boneheaded offer, an offer you can't refuse. You probably take it. Hookadoo, top of the morning, Duke Group, Brett DeWitt. I was starting to wonder about you. Haven't seen you You bringing your grit to Lions Talk Live. Oh, yeah, 100%. And Brett, good to see you, by the way. I probably should have mentioned that earlier, so that's my bad buddy. So glad to see you in the chat. Johnny L, good morning, folks. My day has started off with a header off of the porch, head first onto the cement, and now my head is killing me. Yeah, it's going to be a great day. I'm not going anywhere. Oh, I know you weren't feeling well yesterday. I hope that you're doing well. Man, putting your head in the concrete, that's, you might want to just kick back and have a delicious Mountain Dew today. Call it good. Big Eddie, Coach Dan, I'm going to get real. I used to clown you when you talked about topics like this. Then I listened in. I started making more sense, and I understood more. On top of that, you've been a GM. Yeah, I mean, I think the hard part for most people to understand, Eddie, and thank you for the kind words, by the way, is when you're a GM, at least, I can only speak from my experience, and then getting to know, to some degree, other professional sports GMs, over the decades. These guys have, guys or gals have conversations almost on a daily basis with other people in their profession, just, kicking tires on what would you do in this scenario, that scenario. So the conversations happen all the time. We all know they just don't typically make the moves. Brent, good morning, Hookadoo. Grit wins. You got to love the grit. Cynthia, good morning, all. Exclamation point. It makes no sense to me why they would trade a for sure dynamo like JMO for a could be. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. That scenario doesn't make any sense. I'm going to guess to the vast majority of us. Johnny L, who are they talking about and where from? Yeah, so now you know, and knowing is, as they say, half the battle. Susan, whatever Brad and Dan choose to do, I support. I'll go with that. Yeah, if they choose to do it, I'm going to go with it. One of you guys texted me yesterday about Goff. Clearly was not a fan of Jared Goff. The only thing I could say is, hey, have your own opinion on him. You like him, great. You don't like him, that's fine too. The only thing I can say is I trust him, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. They gave him a new contract. They believe in him, so they know him more intimately than I do. So good for them. I'm going to support that quarterback because he is currently our quarterback. Henry Moore, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew. What a team. What a podcast. Exclamation point. What a time to be a Lions fan. Woo! And same to you. Robert, greetings, Duke Crew and Dan. Let the season begin. Hey, man, we're getting closer and closer every second of the day. Johnny L, who are they talking about now? You now know, I'm sure. 5 fingers ready. I could sooner see us trading some of the depth, O and D lines, than our receivers. Tell me I'm wrong on that. No, I don't think you're wrong on that. I think especially the defensive tackle position and the, I guess you could say, interior offensive linemen as far as the guards. I think we got a lot of depth there. They're not all going to make it. Some team that really needs both, I could see us getting some conditional picks for. Hookadoo, Johnny L. You're in rough shape yesterday. You were sick, and now this. You need to just stay home and have a chill day. Yeah, I agree. That's wise words of wisdom there. Just stay home, kick back on the couch, maybe watch Netflix's quarterback stuff. All right, Quentin, greetings, salutations. No way, no how. We moving Williams. I agree fully on that. I just think, I know I've told you guys all offseason, I think Jameson Williams is going to have a phenomenal year this year. I just don't see the value in any way, shape, or form of trading him. Tim Patrick, I could see, if you really feel like some of the other guys are equal or supplanting him, then that would make sense. And to be fair to Tim Patrick, maybe that would be best for him. He does not going to want to, sit in one of his final NFL seasons on the sidelines for the Detroit Lions, never getting into the games. Kerry, good morning, Duke Crew. Same to you. Sosmo, morning all. Coach, it's my 29th birthday. Can I get a woo woo? You know what? Just for your birthday, we'll give you a 1, 2, 3. And happy birthday, my friend. Johnny L. Hookadoo, you got that right. I'll go with that. Robert, Jason Berry for Hall of Fame. Tree of Destiny is all powerful, all knowing, all doing, I guess you could say. Doing. See, the Mountain Dew. James, happy 29th birthday. Yeah, and I concur. Tori, is there going to be a Dew Crew meetup for any of the games this year? We'll have to find out. If enough people want to go and do it, we can. Last year, I know we tried to set up some. I know Anthony came into a couple, just going to get enough people to say that they wanted to do something or not. And I get it. The prices have kind of moved some people out of wanting to travel to the games. Johnny L, I'm dizzy. It happens. Be careful, my friend. Susan, happy birthday. I concur. Cynthia, I'm just speculating like everyone else, but I think JMO's heart is with the Lions. I agree. I think more and more he's embracing the town. I don't think he wants to go because of Brad MCDC, and they stuck by him through his rough times. Yeah, they've had his back. He's had a couple trips, but you know what? How do we learn to stand up? We fall down, get back up. All right, Sosimo, thank you. Anytime, my friend. Brett, J-Mo better be staying put. We need him to help us get to the promised land. Speed kills, and he's got a whole lot of the speed. So a whole lot of speed. Okay, Duke, I'm going to be in the Detroit area this weekend looking to at a used Jeep Wrangler. What's the Grosse Pointe area like? Question mark. My dad lives in Bloomfield Hills, but I'm not familiar with the burbs. All right, we'll see what they say. Steve Rogers, my question is, if a team does want JMO, what would they have to surrender to us? Man, that is the $1 million question. I think you'd have to get a starting player at some spot. My guess is defensive end. It could be, I guess, center or guard. I don't know. Something like that. I just don't see us picking up a starter anywhere else. And then it's probably got to be some draft capital. Brett, happy birthday, Sosimo Long. Yeah, everybody wishing my happy birthday. Phil, good morning. Oh, yeah, exclamation point. Johnny, happy birthday, Sosimo Long. Hope you have a great day. There you go. Hookadoo. J-Mo is at home in Detroit. He's not going anywhere. I concur. Brett, beep, beep is fire. Yes, he is, my friend. Till then, the only person I can see being traded is possibly Alex Anzalone if they come up to terms. If they can't come to terms, excuse me. Man, that's a great call there, Attila. I hope that doesn't come to fruition with Alex Anzalone or them picking up a replacement for him. But if they feel like he's going to hold out, which to be fair, he has not done yet. He's missed OTAs, but that's it. It's just my own opinion right now. Alex Anzalone probably plays out one more year in Detroit, and then he's probably gone. They're probably drafting a replacement or signing a replacement. Answer 14, greetings and salutations, Coach Ndurko. I think Brad could make a deal from anywhere on the planet anytime. He is a wheeler and dealer deluxe. Much respect for the work he does day in and day out. Yeah, again, he reminds me a lot. Not everybody remember this guy, but Jack McCloskey for the Pistons in the, what was it, 80s and early to mid-90s. Trader Jack, as he was known as. He made calls every day on players. Apparently, now that we've read his book and his memoirs and everything, he called about Michael Jordan. He called about Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. He was constantly trying to manipulate boards. And even, as he put it, even if he wasn't really expecting to get that player, which I'm assuming you knew going in, you weren't getting Bird, Jordan, or whoever, he just wanted to create dialogue and relationships with those GMs. So the player he really wanted, well, hey, we've had a 15-minute call about this guy. What would it take to get that guy? And he felt he could get people to come down on prices by overshooting for the big star. And then, when they kind of ruled that out, hey, well, what do you think about this guy since he's not nearly as good as that guy, right? So I thought he was pretty brilliant. Maybe Brad Holmes is kind of following the same playbook. Johnny L. Hookadoo, it's really nice. There you go. Pat, good morning. Bring on the season. It's almost here. Hookadoo, you hit the nail on the head, Brad. I'll agree. Right, says Stephanie. Dennis, good morning, Dan and Duke Crew. Back at you. Lions for life. Good morning, Duke Crew. Woo! And woo to you too. Mr. Nico, man, we haven't seen you in a hot second. Good to see you, my friend. We need one before we die. Let's get that Super Bowl. Here's Johnny 2.0. Man, another person I haven't seen in a hot second. Waymo Jamo, beat himself. I think he's going to be scoring a whole lot this year. Johnny L, fall head first on all the buttons. there you go. Just don't hurt yourself while doing it. Mary Smith, good morning. Duke Crew and Lions fans, 100%. Good as always to see you, Mary. Drew, another person we haven't seen in a hot second. Good morning, Dan and the marvelous Duke Crew, exclamation point, and good morning to you and my friend as well. The Lions for life, who do you think would be the standout rookie? I believe it's Tesla, oh yeah, and go Tigers. It's going to be, to your point, Lions for life. I think Tesla is in an ideal situation because the coverages he'll receive versus the other star players to put up some big numbers. If I had to guess, it's going to be easy for me to say Ratledge, although with an offensive lineman, you just don't really notice it that much because it's not like there's stats for him. But to your point, yeah, probably him. Med Hassanin, maybe, I know there's some people in Vegas that have offered lines on him being a rookie defensive player of the year, or at least in the conversation. Man, we'll wait and see. But you're probably right on Tesla. Cynthia, agreed. Attila, I'm done with that. Johnny L. Mr. Nico, I'm right here with you. All right. Hookadoo, laughing at Johnny. Kerry, Anzalone isn't going anywhere this year. Yeah, this year I think he's staying. After that, that could be the real conversation. Big D, peeps need to stop with this JMO name in trade bait post. He's not going anywhere, period. Exclamation points. There would be the stupidest team in the world to even entertain the idea of a trade. His name is in the morning dews. Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. But again, Tim Patrick, that one I probably put at least some validity to if they do feel like some of the other rookies or younger players for receiver are equal to him or supplanting him. He's only got 1 year here, so if you know he's going to be like the number 5 guy, is he going to be happy with that? Maybe you move him on just so he can have a better opportunity somewhere else. Carry, and probably would be extended for a year or two. Could be. Big D, end zone can go, in my opinion. That's all it is in my opinion. Yeah, nothing wrong with having your own opinion there, Big D. Brett, I'm with you. Carrie, I want A to stay put also. I think most of us do, but if they can't work out a deal, maybe this is his final year here. We'll have to wait and see. Johnny, I wish the season would get started so we can quit with all the speculations. Yeah, well, I got good news, my friend. We got about 2.5 weeks. Here's Johnny, Warhammer Jammer. I'm down with that. Yeah, and Johnny, I can't wait to see what he's going to do this year. Big D, Johnny, yes, sir, I agree. Down with that. James Wilson, another person I haven't seen in a hot second. Oh, and Tim Boyle was much better. There were some people, it's funny saying that now. There's some people that actually thought Tim Boyle was better than Goff. And I think at this point, with all the different teams Boyle's had an opportunity with, just hasn't worked out. Let's see, Gary. Anxiety is the reader of the offensive line and calls all the defensive setups. Could be. Hookadoo. The only trade we did was bend over Johnson to FTPs for a real offensive head coach, John Morton. I'm down with that. Yeah, I think John Morton's going to do a real good job. Hookadoo. Hopefully so. Derek, watched a few episodes of Quarterback. I've concluded that Joe is a mama's boy, Kurt is a nerd, and Jared Goff is class act. Yeah, man. He's kind of ho-hum, Jared Goff is, but you know what? He also doesn't put his foot in his mouth, stuff like that. James, I had no problem with Matt and his wife, Kelly. That was annoying. Kelly, I think, likes the spotlight. Matt, I don't think really, or the Stafford, I don't think he really ever tried to be some sort of, big personality on TV or whatever. Kelly, though, I think you could have a conversation there that, man, she wants some cameras on her. Kerry Anslem calls all the defensive setups and reads all the offensive plays. Correct with that. Jacob, good morning. Claycomb. All right. Claycomb. All right. I'm working on it, man. Sorry, man. I probably kill it. But thank you for putting that there. And I'll keep working on it. Jennifer, morning all. Exclamation points. Here's Johnny, 11 plus. Ooh, there you go. Here's Johnny L. My brain is squirming like a toad. Well, don't slam it in the stuff. Brett laughing. Coach Rock, good morning all. I'm sure there is a trade possibility with the abundance of talent Detroit has. That's it. At the end of the day, I'm with you, Coach. And that's where I think trades could happen with some of these guys that get moved on before they get cut. Sweeping the North would be sensational. I think we got a chance for it. Marcus, fake news? They blame the people who wrote it then. Which part, just so I know, Marcus is fake? The people calling about the Tim Patrick, the defensive lineman from the Houston Texans wanting out and blaming Detroit as one of the places he would like to go. So let me know, man, just so we're on the same page. All right, Xavier, good morning, Dan. Love your show and have respect for you. Exclamation point. Thank you very much for that, man. I got respect for you, too. Lions bad guy. It's getting closer and closer to Lions Hall of Fame game. Yes, it is, my friend. I can't wait for it. Brett, $20 million a year? Question mark. Hard pass. Exclamation point. Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. If the Lions and the coaching staff for Detroit feel like he would be an option to start here, $20 million, though, I think they've had some hesitation giving that to somebody opposite Aiden Hutchinson so far. But if they feel like he's the real McCoy and comes in here, then maybe that becomes more palatable, but not as a backup, man. Xavier, I think the Lions will go 14-3. Woo! I'll take that. Cynthia, Karma's a real bummer. Ben Johnson sounds like he's got a little bit of something going on over there. A superstar bus, no high price scrubs, pay the young studs at all costs. I'm with you there. Develop talent, which is clearly what we've been doing. Pay to maintain that talent. I get why they had to do it with DJ Reader and etc. I get why they've had to do it with a few guys here and there sprinkled on over the past couple of years, but I don't think they're going to make that the norm. Attila, I think it's 20 for 2 years or 10 million a year. Okay, maybe that's it. Maybe I misread it. So sorry about that, Attila. He is not better than Zadarius Smith. Probably not pass. Yeah, I'm down with that. And I don't know what the suspension was for the 10 or 11 games, whatever it was last year. Brent, thanks. Still, that sounds more reasonable. Yeah, there you go. Kerry, Chicago, 7-10 best. All right, I'll take that. Here's Johnny. Woo! coffee, and Mountain Dew. Man, that's a heck of a combination. Brent, skip the Bears, exclamation point, basement dwellers. If I had to ask you guys right now, I know the Vegas odds have basically Minnesota and Chicago tying. Who do you think is third? Who do you think is fourth? I have said all along, I think Green Bay will be number 2 this year. Been wrong before, though. Jonathan, good morning. Back at you. Detroit D, morning, Dew Crew, and always good to see you, my friend. It's always a good day to see you in the chat. Coach Rock not making top 25, under 25 years old, and under many put a chip on Hutch's shoulder. So watch out now. I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder this year because not just for this article, Coach, but also because all the doubters saying, his career has gone the downside now, the injury, he can't recover, the naysayers. I think it's going to add some real fuel to him. Mary, something looks good until you get there, and Ben Johnson wasn't thinking he was chasing cash. Hey, he won't be the last coach to ever do it. I get it, man. You want to take care of your financial future, your family. I don't remember the terms of his deal, but I know he got paid a whole lot. And as long as that's guaranteed money, you know what? It's hard for me to say no for him. Here's Johnny 2.0. Give Brad Holmes his due. Hey, I'll get him 2 Mountain Dews. Claim tweaking the roster is fine, but changing in the chemistry would be a major mistake. I agree with you there. And I don't think Brad or Dan want that to happen, so I think we're on the same page there. Gary Brett DeWitt, 100% basement dwellers agreed. I'll go with that. Phil, hey, Broski, eat it raw. I do feel like Broski's invented some more accounts as of late because I've noticed some conversations. We'll put it that way. Grade 8 hot take. What Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are hyping the media to build JMO's stock up to get heavy draft capital for all the pick losses from Tesla. I mean, I won't rule anything out with these guys because I do think they do a lot of outside-the-box thinking. I always use the analogy. I have no doubt Brad Holmes does not play checkers. He plays chess. So maybe you got something there, Drede. Ziggy and friends, good morning, Captain Dan, and good morning to you. Tilla, heard Brad reaches out about Donner and Benson, but they wanted the first-round picks for Rudolph. Yeah, they did, man. So try to get the second or third rounder. There you go. Brett is laughing. Phil, AI story are real bad. Yeah, I do wonder if, and I get you can use AI for just about anything. But if this really starts being a trend in sports where AI is able to predict correctly players' results, draft picks, how they'll do, teams, how they'll perform in the year, then I think you're going to see it really take off, especially in Vegas. And it's probably going to cause Vegas a lot of headaches. Here's Johnny. MCDC said early on, it's about matchups. Yeah, genius. I would agree. Lions bad guy. I don't see us trading any players or signing players at the deadline. I have no idea. But I do think me, myself, and I, instead of cutting guys, you're at least listen to conversations for a conditional pick or something like that. Till AI predicted the Bears was 5-12. I like that. Dick Gasferia, skip Green Bay. All right. It looks like at this group having the Bears in their minds every day. Well, we have all the divisional rivals in our minds every day because obviously we want to sweep the division again like we did last year with the Bears. Yeah, Ditka, I'm down with that. Says Johnny. Till then, look at the Bears fans living in Detroit Lions chants. I get under your skin. It is rather funny. Like, we don't have a bunch of Minnesota Vikings fans in here every day. We don't have a bunch of Green Bay Packer fans in here every day. Seems odd that the only real fan base that lives in this show, and to be fair, it's not just this show. It seems like every Lions podcaster show, it's the Bears fans. So the Bears fans think so little of their own team, they don't even watch their own team stuff. Bears are giving the Lions problems without all the additions of Ben Johnson. That's weird because I seem to remember us beating you guys both times last year. Sorry you got bad clock management and just decided to get blown out at home. Here's Johnny Sausage. I'll go with that. Phil, is there a radical element into the Goff hate? Is there a racial? Excuse me. I doubt it, man. I don't think so, man. I just think some people, Goff, we get it. He doesn't run all over the place, even though it sounds like he's trying to work on it. He's kind of ho-hum. He doesn't, he's not like Joe Cool in front of the camera. He doesn't really create a bunch of charisma. His wife might, but that's a different story. I just think people look down on him because he is kind of howdy doody. Some of you guys will get that reference. Some of you won't. He's just kind of bland because of it. And he did have a great game. Let's be fair against Washington. But there was somebody I was talking to about it yesterday. I get he didn't have a great game. The defense had almost a non-existent game. The offensive line, mostly Glasgow. I mean, I want to say he had like a 12 rating that game. Don't hold me to that. I'm going off memory. 12 for an offensive lineman. That's like you just stood there out on the field. And Glasgow was a part of a couple of the big P key pivotal games or moments in that game. Dixon Shira, till the hunt, you search the Bears, everything, every day. I can smell your fear, buddy. Why are you here, Mike Dickus Fury? Because you're here a whole lot, along with the other Bears fans. And this isn't a Bears show. So you must be obsessed with the Lions, clearly. Great day. No, it's a lack of running and why people hate Goff, but I don't get the Stafford love since he wasn't a runner either. To be fair, though, let's give credit where credit's due. Stafford, when he was here, had a whole bunch of haters. A whole bunch of people saying, he stunk. Wasted pick, a bust for the number one pick, the whole shebang bang. It really, in my opinion, it wasn't until after he was traded that the love affair for Matt Stafford really began. Till then, no fear of the Bears. Heck, even Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson don't like being in Chicago. Yeah, I guess that'd be the other thing to throw back at Bears fans. You got a quarterback that's openly commenting about he didn't want to be a Bear. He doesn't want to be a Bear. He wants to be out of there. Ziggy and friends, J-Mo needs to stay in Detroit. I think he will, man. All right, moving on from Dickus Fury, go talk on the Chicago Bears, but instead he'd rather be a Lions fan, I guess. DM5, J-Mo's not going anywhere. I concur, my friend. Here's Johnny. Goff runs like a giraffe. Might be true. DM5, if Hooker plays well in the preseason, then all the Hooker hate needs to end. I agree with that. I like the kid. I like everything about him. We just got to see it on the field. And he's got to be given an opportunity, too. Brett, only place J-Mo going is the end zone week 1. Oh, yeah. And I got to imagine they're going to try to, let's be fair, when we play the Chicago Bears, I have zero doubt. Ben Johnson's going to want to beat Detroit. He wouldn't be human if he didn't. But the also is also true. The opposite is also true. Every Detroit Lions offensive player and the coaches, probably the defenders too, are going to want to put up a big win. I think if they have an opportunity to really put one on the Chicago Bears, they're going to try. And I know that it's not a really MCDC's norm, but I think with some of the comments that have been kind of underhandedly made by Ben Johnson, some of the takes that he's kind of had towards the players that, hey, it was my offense that made this work. I know St. Brown talked about it, and a number of the Lions offensive players said, hey, it wasn't Ben Johnson, it was us. And I think they're going to be out there week 2 trying to prove that. Dre Day, he could run like a sloth for as far as I care. Just stay accurate and keep winning. Hey, at the end of the day, here's what we can say. In the last, I think it's like 3 or 4 years in the NFL, he's tied for number 3. Number 3 it is as far as wins in the NFL. Say what you want about him, but everywhere the kid goes, he wins. And I get naysayers are like, well, it's because of this, it's that. At some point, you were the common denominator between 9 different seasons of NFL. The players keep changing, the coaches keep playing. You keep winning. So that's where I go with that. Gary Bloomfield, known as a New Wealth, Gross Point, Old Wealth. All right. And here's Johnny. Jared Goff, I'll go with that. Dre Day. Still one, though, why people forget that part. Yeah, that's a good question. Jonathan, if we trade J-Mo, we have to get at least what the Chiefs got for him at the minimum. Yeah, you got for their guy at the minimum. I'm down with that. Kim, just imagine offensive rookie of the tier and defensive player of the year. I'm down with both of those. Right. Bears are a joke. No franchise quarterback ever. Yeah, they might doom another quarterback, unfortunately. Hookadoo. Thanks, Carrie. Thumbs up. I don't know if I needed to take a gun. Yeah, I think you'll be all right there. Micro Mike, Bears are not a great team from a bad city. Micro Mike, Bears projected to finish dead last in division. Right now, that is what Vegas is saying. Let me know when you can come on, my friend. I'll shoot you a text. Maybe we can get you on the show. It's been a hot second, man. Here's Johnny. Bears equal bottom feeders, and I'll go with that. Yes, agreed. Phil, you hit the nail on the head hard enough because pain and dizziness. Get to an emergency department at the sand. Don't mess around. Yeah, if you really did a CAT scan. All right, I see your next comment, man. Yeah, maybe go get checked out if you got time, man. Don't mess around with that. Look at Yogi and Bubba live in a cave in the basement. Might be accurate. Johnny, morning, Duke, Coach Dan and Duke crew. Back at you. Michael, happy trails. Coach, thanks, Dan, for another great show. Anytime, my friend. I enjoy it. Hopefully, you guys do too. Phil, Ben Johnson's peeing in Lake Michigan. How about that? Here's Johnny. CT, yep, I'll go with that. Yeah, I'll agree. Bo, morning, Dan and Duke crew. Back at you. Till then, Lions beat the Bears without Hutchinson, and with him, Caleb gets his normal 5 sacks. Yeah, the other part is, especially, maybe it was both games, but especially the second game, Bears had, they have no excuses. The Lions were playing without a defense out there, and they still whomped on you. So funny how that gets missed. All right, Henry, if you hit your head on the blood thinners, even blood pressure meds, go get the emergency room and call your doctor. Don't mess around with blood clots or brain bleeds. Yeah, might want to go get that checked out ASAP. Phil, there's a way to be classy and a way to be a dirtbag. Johnson wallows in dirt. Hey, maybe he likes playing in the mud. I'm Mike. Bears, 0 franchise quarterbacks, only team in history without a 4,000-yard passer. Bears completely not good. We'll go with that. Earl, good morning, Dan and crew. Same to you. Mike, Bears fans have no life, delusional morons. Yeah, you look at Broski, you look at Mike Dickus Fury, and 20 other guys that pop on your show, my show. They don't ever go on the Bears shows. They're on our shows. Why? Because they have no life. They're sitting there all day at their keyboard, afraid to listen to any of the truths about their team. All right, Jeff. Butthurt Bears fans and Chicago-style pizza. I'll go with that. I do like Chicago-style hot sauce, though. Till then, Bears haven't won a playoff game in something like 16 years. Have they even had a winning season in 16 years? That'd be another good question. Here's Johnny, but they do have 1985. Yes, maybe they could get the DeLorean and go back to it. Gary, Detroit 14-3, Minnesota 9-8, Pack 9-8, Bears 7-10, and relegated to the CFL. I could see that happening. Mike, Bears lost to Green Bay for 6 years straight. Hey, got to keep that streak alive. Sorry, 14 years, 2011. Yeah, I knew it was something like that, but it's been a minute. Mike had, okay, moving on. Cynthia, in my opinion, there's a lot to be said about quiet confidence. Jared Goff, yes, he's very, very, he's not flashy. I think that's what you all get about him. Chicago is not a great city. Bo, thought you banned Broski. Dude, I've banned him, I think it's like 50 some times now. Let's see. Hookadoo, have a rotten day. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Silver, good morning, coach and everyone. Back at you. Here's Johnny, NFC North champs. Yeah, someone once told me you're as good as your last game, your last time at plate, the last shot you took. Bears, that tells you all you need to know about them. Let's see. Phil Johnson better not stand too close to the sideline. He might get run over accidentally. I wonder if somebody could do something like that. Phil, eat it raw, Broski. He probably does, and he probably enjoys it. Until the hunt, funny Broski runs as soon as he can't take the heat. Typical, just like Bears teams. Yeah, Bears. I mean, like you point out, the Bears haven't been good since when? Who was in office? Who was the president of the United States? I guess last time the Bears were relevant. Would have been the former actor guy, Reagan. Yeah, back then. So that tells you something. Carl, Bears fans always win the offseason. They do, man. They just can't play in the regular season. DM5, hit the like, guys. Have a great day. But some Bitcoin, buy some Bitcoin, I'm guessing. Or, Skazdo. I'll go with that. Carrie, butt kiss Broski. See all the basement with the bend over it? Yes, he's got all that going for him. Have a great day, Coach and Duke Crew. Exclamation point. Woo! We'll see you, Trim. Phil, will TK85 make the team? Maybe the practice squad. That's my guess. Thomas, look, I don't like the Bears at all, but until we win a Super Bowl, they have one up on us. Go Lions, smash like. I get it, man. We've won the Super Bowl before it was called the Super Bowl. They've won it since it's been called the Super Bowl. Phil, coach for Detroit Shock Coach. Man, we'll see if we can make that happen. See if Jen would allow that. Cynthia, only Bears I like are Yogi and Boo Boo. Laughing out loud. I'll take that. Henry Moore, I have Packers fans and Bears fans that chat with me. Just give them the look. Laughing out loud. Probably right. Silver, right. Thomas, Hookadoo, Happy Trails, Duke Crew, Run Pride Worldwide, Skip Tampa Bay. All right. Carrie, Happy Trails, Duke Crew. Have hump day. Stay safe. Stay safe. Yeah. And everybody, have a great day. Do something kind for somebody you don't know. But if you were checking out, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you would be so kind. Otherwise, we'll see you guys all on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.
Excuse me, sir. Would you... Donations to the Reverend Moon? Jews for Jesus?
Read about Jehovah's Witness? How about Buddhism?
Help Jerry's kids? Oh, yeah. Scientology?
Or nuclear power?